Hi, everyone. My name is Tamara with Executive Notary Services in Dallas, Texas. And I'm just here today to give my testimony about Carol Ray with Notary to Pro. I have been working with Carol Ray since I opened my company here in Texas. I think she is phenomenal. I am very particular about the notaries that I work with. Everyone has to be vetted to work with our company. And I can say this, a lot of notaries that sign up with my company have come from, they've had their training in all different places, and that's wonderful. As long as they've had training, they can let me know where. But the notaries that come out of Carol Ray training always seem to know what they're doing right away. And I've noticed that, I won't name any names of other places, but I've noticed that, let's say, for example, a notary has been working in the industry for 10 years. And she may or may not have been trained on one particular thing. Carol Ray Notary will go and do a closing, and the very first time, no mistakes, where the 10-year notary didn't know that particular issue because she wasn't trained on it. So it's great, she's been a notary for a long time, but she just wasn't trained on a specific area. So I really love the attention to detail that Carol Ray offers her notaries. It's extremely important because there's so much to cover. It's a wonderful industry, but there is a lot to learn. It's not hard, we just really have to pay attention to detail. So when you have extra training, it's always wonderful. But I'm sorry, when you have a long term of experience, it's wonderful, but you need to be sure that who you've been trained by is really covering all the topics, and Carol Ray does that, so that's what I appreciate. So how I met Carol is I actually was a notary first in California. I'm originally from Seattle, Washington, but I worked as a notary in California, and I used to call on lenders. We didn't call on title companies like we do here in Texas. We called on lenders directly, and it was a wonderful blessing. I started in 2004, and it was very busy. I had Countrywide at the time, before they became Bank of America. It was my largest account. I had several offices all over the county there, and it got to be where I was so busy I couldn't see straight, which is a great thing, and it's also sweet. It's bitter sour, but meaning that they would call you for all these closings at the same time, and LA is very spread out, and you can only do so many closings at 5 p.m. So it started to be where I was having to turn things down because you can't be two places at once, of course. And so I learned that, gosh, I need some help. So I started meeting some regular notaries who would explain that they're just a notary like at a bank. They're not trained on real estate yet, but they had their notary certificate. And so I would sit down with them and train them the same way I learned, which at the time, unfortunately, wasn't through Carol Ray just yet. I went through National Notary Association. I took the training. At that time, you had to wait. You took the class, then you wait 30 days to see if you pass. Then you get your certificate. It's much different here in Texas, but that's how it was in California. So I trained the notaries the same way I was trained. We sat down, we choose a restaurant, we go page by page, document at a time, and I would just go through and get them set up. So then I had to go to my clients, the loan officers, and state, hey, I've got some help now. I don't have to turn down, your closings and whatnot. Oh no, we don't like that. It has to be you and this and that. I said, just trust me. I trained her myself, and I can check her work and make sure it's good before I bring the documents back to you. That was the blessing right there, because I had the ability to do that. So that's exactly what happened. I trained the notaries. I was able to give all the extra closings that I couldn't handle to the notaries, and then we worked out a fee arrangement. So it was phenomenal. Then I moved to Texas. Oh, let me back up. 2008 came. Absolute mess in 2008 with real estate. A lot of you know what happened, but needless to say, I scrounged down every little last office that was open, and there wasn't hardly anybody open anymore until there was just no more notary closings. And the fellow notaries that I used to see in the field also were calling me, hey, Tamara, do you have anything? I mean, people that are normally shoving me out of the door to get to the loan officer first before I chatted with them to ask for work were coming to me saying, do you have anything? Literally scraping for peanuts. So that was 2008. It was very rough. So there was a timeout there for me with notary work. Very disappointing. But I ended up moving to Texas, and because that's where I met my husband, and he had said, hey, you know, real estate's still doing very well here in Texas. If you're going to stay in the notary world, this is the place to be. You know, obviously 2008, everybody suffered, the whole country, but Texas didn't do that bad. They managed to just make it work. So I came to Texas. I started all over again as a notary here. And I didn't know a single person except my husband. He's not in the industry, so he didn't know where to send me. So I got out and I pounded the pavement the same way I pounded the pavement in California, which was essentially knocking on the door. If it said lender on the door, I was in there. If there's another countrywide office or whichever, I was knocking on the door, hello. And so I did the same thing here, although much, much more challenging. Number one, it wasn't the lenders, it was the title companies. And most of them it was kind of like getting past Gestapo at the front desk. I just couldn't get in to speak to the right person. And it was quite a challenge. And I just kept pounding the pavement each day, trying to find offices. And then I finally found some offices who would meet with me, but they said, oh, I'm sorry. We use, you know, we're a fidelity company. We use BankServe. I said, oh, okay, because they own BankServe. I said, okay, so darn it, you know, and then I'm on to the next place. Well, word of mouth, I found out from a nice young lady at a fidelity office that they actually don't have to use only BankServe, and that all I needed to do was get on their approved notary list, and that they could use me. Wow, honestly, that right there was the turning point, and that is what changed my life. I got approved. It took, mind you, it took several months for me to get approved. I had to do, talk to the right people, find out who and which paperwork and whatnot, and go through the process of getting vetted. And so when I did that, it was great. I got on the list, and then other fidelity companies started saying yes, yes, yes. Also, I was calling on other title companies as well that were not fidelity. So it was a lot of hustle and bustle. It took a long time for me to get it going, but once I got it going, what a wonderful blessing. And I'm just so grateful to have clients and have all these title companies so that I have work to give to all of you notaries. I'm so thankful to God every day for that, because I would have nothing if it wasn't for the Lord, first of all. So He has allowed me to build these relationships with these title companies and continue to be able to find great notaries, Carol Ray graduates especially, and be able to keep this going. Here we are 9 years later. In October of this year will be 9 years that I've had been running executive notary services here in Texas. So anyway, I just want to tell everybody that you know, that's my story, how I got started here, and why it's so important as a notary to make sure that you are fully trained and understand what you're doing in the field. because it's a wonderful industry to be a part of. And if you know what you're doing and you enjoy it, there's plenty of work. It's, you know, ebb and flow, as you know, not always as consistent as we'd like it to be, but if you do a great job, there's a lot of work out there. So, I can't think of anything else I want to say right now.
Okay, I stopped the recording.
I want you to stop it before I got to that. Can you cut that last part off?
I can.
Yeah, because that, as soon as I said that last part, I was blank because I've been talking forever and I didn't know what else to say next. Because I'm like,
I can actually tell it. I can cut part off. So let me, let's see if yes. Okay,